but he was an ugly man, so hideous that he was denied even the right to reproduce. Even passing dogs would curse at him, not to mention girls. However, originally he was a super handsome guy. Due to a failed experiment, sulfuric acid splashed on his face, turning him into a frightful, ugly monster. But the man didn't take revenge on society. Instead, he went to the war-torn battlefield, using his medical skills to benefit and treat the soldiers. He did this for 20 years. Unexpectedly, a missile strike made him the most shining light on the battlefield. When he woke up again, he had traveled into the body of a man named Shen Lang. In this life, he regained his handsome and dashing appearance, but his fate in this life seemed no better than the last. In his original memories, he found out that he was in a place called Mythical Turtle City in a country named Yu. Everyone thought he was an idiotic waste. After 10 years of study, he couldn't recognize a single word. Yet, such a man, after just one meeting with the daughter of the Su family, turned into her devoted admirer. When the daughter of the Su family became ill and needed a husband to change her luck, he volunteered without hesitation, but he was despised, beaten, and humiliated by the maidservants of the Su family. Fortunately, the young lady of the Su family recovered and stood up for him. He became increasingly obsessed with Su Chanshan. Although they were not husband and wife in reality, it wasn't until half a month later, when he suddenly fell ill with a strange disease that couldn't be cured, that he took over the body of his original self. Just when Shen Lang thought he could lead a leisurely life thereafter, he heard footsteps outside. He went to listen and heard two maidservants discussing him. He had been poisoned by a steward half a month ago, and now they came to see if he was dead yet. Unexpectedly, as soon as the door opened, they saw Shen Lang up close. The two maidservants were terrified, leaving behind a remark, "Shen Lang, he's actually alive?" Then they hastily fled. Shen Lang was momentarily stunned. Poison, this is different from my memory. Before he could ponder further, Shen Lang realized something in his mind. The next moment, his consciousness arrived in the depths of his mind, where he saw a laptop containing several terabytes of data from his previous life. Not only that, Shen Lang also discovered that his eyes had changed. When looking at objects, he could see through them. Shen Lang understood this was an X-ray machine, which had fused with him during the time travel along with that missile. Moreover, Shen Lang found out that he could integrate the computer and X-ray vision. When looking at objects, he could accurately identify what they were. At that moment, someone came. What caught Shen Lang's eye was the phrase 36D. The person was Shen Lang's wife, Su Chanshan. She was extremely concerned about Shen Lang. Hearing from the maid that Shen Lang had awakened, she immediately called for a doctor. After the doctor examined Shen Lang, he looked shocked and said, "Shen Lang is perfectly fine." This suddenly made Su Chanshan's face twist in fury, and she blurted out, "How is that possible?" Then she quickly calmed down, trying to shed tears and expressing her deep concern for Shen Lang. Little did she know, Shen Lang was no longer the fool he used to be. He could see through Su Chanshan's facade, realizing that there must be something wrong with her. As for the memories of his original self, they were probably beautified by him. In the following conversation, Shen Lang sensed Su Chanshan's intention to get rid of him. Su Chanshan suddenly realized, how can an idiot understand these hints? Just at that moment, the door was kicked open, and a man walked in. Without any courtesy, he said, "Stop going around in circles with an idiot." Saying so, the man approached Su Chanshan and kissed her, then pointed at Shen Lang, indicating, "Su Chanshan is now my fiancée. You better leave." Shen Lang felt numb in his heart. Was he being cuckolded? Initially, it was just because Su Chanshan was seriously ill, and they needed an idiot to bring good luck. Now, it seemed like she was used and then discarded. It must be said, Su Chanshan's act of a gentle and graceful lady was spot on. Just like now, she actually wanted to kill him, found she couldn't, and then wanted to drive him away. Yet on the surface, she pretended to be all innocent and caring. The death of his original self made Shen Lang realize he couldn't stay in the Su family any longer. Who knows if these two would plot against him again? So, Shen Lang readily agreed to leave. The man, Zhang Ji, hearing this, pulled Su Chanshan away, leaving Shen Lang just 1 hour to leave. Watching them go, Shen Lang didn't feel the slightest bit of loss. Instead, he was quite happy. With this handsome face, finding another wealthy woman should be easy, he thought. However, at that moment, Shen Lang suddenly overheard Zhang Ji and Su Chanshan's conversation. They were discussing the Zhou family proposing marriage to Jean Mulan of the mythical Turtle Earl's mansion, a move that could overshadow their own wedding's hype. Hearing this, Shen Lang immediately had a new target for his gold digging, Jean Mulan. As for the Su family, let them wait for his triumphant return. But the reality was that he was driven out and his marriage with Su Chanshan was annulled. They even slandered him for stealing from the mansion and being indecent with the maidservants, cleanly removing any scandal of Su Chanshan breaking off their marriage. Shen Lang didn't care. He decided to first go back home. Meanwhile, in the Su family, Su Chanshan was still worried about her reputation, but the family head had no choice but to do this to keep Zhang Ji happy. Su Chanshan understood the gravity of the situation and didn't say much. On his way home at night, Shen Lang was suddenly stopped by some strong men. Knowing he couldn't resist, Shen Lang let them take him away. What he didn't expect was the Su family's ruthlessness. They actually wanted to bury bury him alive. The leader, known as a notorious underworld boss within 100 miles with hundreds of blood cases on his hands, instructed someone to light incense for Shenlang. Shenlang, using his X-ray vision, discovered a silver needle inserted in the boss's body. The boss, Tianheng, noticed Shenlang's odd gaze, removed the cloth from his mouth, and asked what he was looking at. Shenlang straightforwardly revealed the presence of the needle in Tianheng's body, warning that it posed a life-threatening risk. The crowd exchanged glances, and Tianheng himself was stunned. Even his wife was unaware of this. Shenlang also expressed his ability to remove the needle. Tianheng, in turn, guessed Shenlang's conditions, his life spared, and the revelation of who wanted him killed. Surprisingly, Tianheng scoffed and outright refused. This left Shenlang bewildered. Did Tianheng not wish to live, or had he willingly been implanted with the needle? Tianheng then revealed that it wasn't about others using him to kill, but about Shenlang's brother borrowing money from him. What started as a loan of 5 gold coins had ballooned to 100 due to compounded interest. Unable to repay, this was why Shenlang was to be buried alive. This revelation reminded Shenlang of an incident 2 months ago when he had just married into the Su family. His father had come to take him back, disagreeing with the marriage, but was violently driven away by the Su family's guards. Shenlang cursed internally. The original Shenlang had abandoned even his parents for Su Chanshan. He then overheard Tianheng ordering not only his burial, but also that of his parents. As for Tianheng, he decided to make it quick for Shenlang. Just as he was about to end Shenlang's life with a swift stroke, Shenlang shouted out, promising to repay 1,000 gold coins, 10 times the debt. The blade paused at his neck. Shenlang asked for 10 days to repay the 1,000 gold coins. The bandits looked at each other and then at their boss, Tianheng, who only gave Shenlang 3 days. This made Shenlang realize that the Su family had given Tianheng a 3-day deadline to kill him. He didn't believe a word of Tianheng's previous story. Nevertheless, Shenlang agreed, and Tianheng had someone draft a written agreement for Shenlang. Shenlang gestured that it wasn't necessary and tore off a piece of his clothing. He pricked his finger and wrote the agreement directly with his blood. Tianheng, watching this, felt it was a bit absurd. Was this decisive and efficient Shenlang really the same person known for being an intellectual waste? After issuing a warning, Tianheng sent 2 men to accompany Shenlang home. On the way back, Shenlang quickly thought of a way to earn the 1,000 gold coins. Soon after arriving home, Shenlang's father, gravely ill, still thought of going to the Su family to bring Shenlang back, fearing Shenlang might be mistreated there. Shenlang's mother felt the same, and his brother, despite having his legs broken, was determined to bring Shenlang back home. Shenlang heard all this and immediately opened the door, kneeling down and giving a deep bow to his family. Upon seeing Shenlang, his family was overjoyed. Shenlang softly said he was back and then apologized to his mother and father one by one. His mother, happy, embraced Shenlang, indicating that everything was fine. They noticed something different about Shenlang. His eyes seemed clearer and more spirited. His brother guessed that Shenlang had been driven out by the Su family, which his mother actually considered a good thing, as she could now arrange another marriage for him, like with the widow Lu from the village. Shenlang, speechless, chuckled and began to treat his father's illness. He used his X-ray vision to assess the condition, finding his father's ribs broken in several places and severe hemorrhaging in the lungs. With his decades of medical experience from his past life, Shenlang immediately had a solution, like draining the blood from the lungs first. After implementing a series of treatments, his father would soon recover. Then Shenlang turned his attention to his brother's broken leg. Relieved to see the fracture was relatively clean, he heard his brother suggest pretending to be injured in accidents for compensation, making Shenlang facepalm in frustration. He flicked his brother's leg, admonishing him to avoid such crooked ideas, reassuring that he could treat the broken leg. The next day, Shenlang spent the entire day gathering enough medicinal herbs. Upon returning home, he set up a simple operating table and began treating his father, relying on his exquisite medical skills. Shenlang successfully operated on his father. This operation astonished Shenlang's mother, making them regard him as extraordinary. With such medical skills, it seemed likely he could even marry the village chief's daughter. Shenlang had seen the chief's daughter before and was frightened by the idea, hastily saying he needed some fresh air. Outside, Shenlang was reminded that he only had 2 days left and not to forget, otherwise his entire family would suffer. Distraught, Shenlang lost his desire to relax. Just as he entered the house, his mother brought him a basin of water to wash his feet. Shenlang wanted to refuse, but his mother looked like she would cry, so he reluctantly agreed, feeling the love of his family. The next day, Shenlang's door was knocked by 13 and 14, urging him to hurry and make money as time was running out. They pretended to be his friends so as not to worry Shenlang's mother. On their way to mythical Turtle City, they unexpectedly encountered 2 men. 13 seemed to know them and led them to a bush. Soon after, 13 returned alone, revealing that the 2 men had been killed by him for failing to repay their debts. Shenlang was shocked to learn that their debt had started at just 3 gold coins, but ballooned to 25 due to interest. One of them had even been friends with 13's father for over a decade. 13 warned Shenlang that he would not show mercy and doubted Shenlang could earn 1,000 gold coins. After all, 1,000 gold coins were equivalent to the savings of hundreds of households for several decades. Shenlang, however, confidently stated that he would earn the 1,000 gold coins today. Soon, Shenlang and his companion arrived at the busiest commercial street in mythical Turtle City and stopped in front of a loft building. In front of the building was a sign reading Brocade and Embroidery Pavilion. Shenlang's plan to make money, which also entailed exacting revenge on the Su family, began here. After all, the Brocade and Embroidery Pavilion was also in the silk business and a competitor of the Lin family. Shenlang immediately asked the waiter who greeted him to call out the owner, promising a business deal that could potentially earn them an additional 5,000 gold coins a year. The waiter, initially skeptical and almost mocking, was compelled to invite them in when 13 stepped forward. Inside the hall, the head of the group was Lin Ma, the owner of the Brocade and Embroidery Pavilion. Shenlang got straight to the point, indicating he had a unique secret formula to sell for 2,000 gold coins. Upon hearing the price, Lin Ma was dismissive and ordered his servants to show the guests out. 13, too, became furious at the mention of 2,000 gold coins, suspecting they were being made fun of. However, at this moment, Shenlang produced a piece of golden fabric, prompting Lin Ma to take a closer look. Lin Ma was shocked upon examining it. Gold silk was an exclusive material for royalty, and the Su family had made their fortune with it. However, the color of the gold silk from the Su family paled in comparison to what Shenlang had. The gold silk in Shenlang's possession was merely a byproduct of his medicinal brewing, casually dyed by him. Shenlang announced that he could produce even better quality within 2 hours if provided with the right dyes, and he was firm on the price of 2,000 gold coins. 13 was amazed, realizing that Shenlang could indeed exact revenge on the Su family while earning a substantial amount of money. 2 hours later, Shenlang emerged from the brewing room with a radiant piece of gold silk. Lin Ma, the family head of the Lin household, was truly astonished and immediately prepared a box of gold coins, eagerly inquiring about the formula Shenlang used. Shenlang gave the formula to Lin Ma, the head of the Lin family. To verify its authenticity, Shenlang demonstrated the process, dyeing the fabric golden. As he was about to leave, a loud shout interrupted him. The head of the Su family stormed in, accusing Shenlang of stealing their secret formula. Shenlang was stunned and immediately looked at Lin Ma, who did not deny the accusation but simply mentioned that his son was studying at a military academy. Shenlang's expression darkened. He realized that this was a plot to betray him in exchange for getting Lin Ma's son a backdoor entry into the academy, especially since Su Qianqian's fiancé, Zhang Ji, was an officer in the Ministry of War. As the Su family head accused Shenlang with red eyes, Su Qianqian tearfully expressed her disappointment in him, questioning why he didn't just ask her for money if he needed it. They played the victims, and the Su family even reported the matter to the authorities. However, Shenlang was not the least bit perturbed. He laughed at the accusation, challenging the Su family head to provide evidence of his supposed theft. Since the Su family head had no proof and only resorted to insults, "You, Shenlang, are just a worthless person with no skills or knowledge. How could you possibly come up with a dye formula?" Shenlang proposed a challenge to see who could produce a more perfect golden silk. He also raised the stakes by including purple silk, which was extremely rare due to the difficulty of extracting the necessary dyes. In response to Shenlang's challenge, the Su family agreed. They decided that if Shenlang could produce a color better than theirs, they would have no further objections. The contest would be overseen by a government official as a witness. Shenlang then started his work, aiming to create something beyond the era's understanding. After 3 hours, the Su family showcased their purple silk, eliciting amazement from the spectators. At this moment, Su Qianqian instructed a servant to show the golden silk formula to the official. After examining it, the official concluded that the document had existed for many years, thereby affirming the accusation of Shenlang's theft of the formula. Just as they were about to apprehend Shenlang, he stepped out, looked at the Su family's purple silk, and then presented his own. The color of Shenlang's silk astonished everyone present. Unlike the dull and lackluster purple silk of the Su family, Shenlang's silk was vibrant and dazzling, with a purity of color that was unmatched. He challenged them, asking if this was also stolen from their formula, which left Su Qianqian and her family unstable. Shenlang then pulled out his trump card, a multicolored rainbow silk. The official quickly approached Shenlang and examined the rainbow silk, expressing amazement at its natural and extraordinary colors. The Su family head was speechless at this point, and Shenlang immediately demanded justice from the official. The Su family head, having no face to stay, dismissed the accusation and left. Su Qianqian, suppressing her anger, apologized to Shenlang before also leaving. Shenlang's confidence in challenging the Su family was partly because the young chief clerk present had a grudge against Zhang Ji. 3 years prior, the chief clerk, who had once taught Shenlang, at that time, Jin Mulan led a group for hunting, and they arrived at the back mountain of Shenlang's original home. Their prey, a black bear, got frightened, and its escape route coincidentally crossed paths with Shenlang. Jin Mulan saved Shenlang's life, killing the black bear, and brought the injured Shenlang back home. The chief clerk's actions were motivated by his affection for Jin Jean Mulan, hoping to win her favor by teaching Shenlang, who was associated with her. During the teaching period, he noticed Shenlang's antagonism with Zhang Ji. The chief clerk remembered Shenlang, but wasn't particularly close to him and initially ignored him. Realizing this, Shenlang understood that being the chief clerk's romantic rival would be effortless. Shenlang's plan was proceeding smoothly, and he was poised to rise above all others. After leaving the brocade and embroidery pavilion, he encountered Su Chanchan. She appeared sorrowful and apologized to Shenlang, subtly attempting to persuade him to hand over the rainbow silk formula. Shenlang, however, ignored her, refusing to be exploited again as he had been in the past. Su Chanchan then reminded him of the debt of 1,000 gold coins owed to Tianheng, causing Shenlang's pupils to constrict. 13 also reminded him that there were only 14 hours left to repay the debt, urging him to arrange the funds quickly to avoid any harm to his family. Shenlang realized the gravity of the situation. Even if he paid Tianheng, the Su family would likely continue to threaten his family to obtain the formula. He knew he had to find a permanent solution to this problem. Just then, the sound of galloping horses approached from behind. Shenlang squeezed through the crowd and saw a cavalry troop led by Jean Mulan. Upon seeing her, he impulsively decided to add a new element to his plan. As Jean Mulan's horse passed by him, Shenlang deliberately allowed himself to be hit, simulating an accident. He silently hoped that Jean Mulan, who had once collided with him 3 years ago, would take him home this time. His wish was granted. Jean Mulan immediately dismounted and checked Shenlang's breathing, relieved to find him unharmed. She then ordered her men to take him to the Earl's estate for treatment. Shenlang felt relieved. His ability to save his family and defeat the Su family would depend on his performance in the upcoming moments. The Earl's estate of mythical turtle, distinct from the city, had its own manor and castle. The Su family, wealthy as they were, paled in comparison to the Earl's estate. Inside the estate's council hall, Jean Mulan, dressed casually, met with her father and mother. Her father was pleased with her performance in the military exercises, but expressed concern about their family's precarious situation. Jean Mulan's brother was not up to the task, and the Yu Kingdom was beginning to strip the nobility of their military power. Hearing this, Jean Mulan declared that with her support, their house would not fall, and she vowed to remain unmarried for life to assist her brother. Father Jean sighed, acknowledging the incompetence of his son. At this moment, a servant reported that Shenlang requested an audience, specifically concerning Jean Mulan's marriage. This piqued Father Jin's interest, and soon Shenlang was brought into the hall. He got straight to the point. The Zhu's family wishes to seek a marriage alliance with the Earl's mansion. Zhu Hongxue desires to marry Miss Jean Mulan. Both Jean Mulan and Father Jean were visibly shocked by this revelation. It turns out that the Zhu family is the top aristocrat in the Yu Kingdom, related by marriage to the ruler of the country, and they also hold the position of governor of the southern province. The general who pacifies the south also hails from the Zhu family. Father Jean questioned how Shenlang came to know such confidential information. I used to be a son-in-law at the Su family. Su Chanchan and her new fiancé Zhang Jin discussed this matter as if I were a fool, without any guard. Despite Shenlang's explanation, Father Jean, still wary from the Su family's slander, ordered an investigation to verify these claims. Though Father Jean had reservations about Shenlang, he recognized the gravity of the situation and promised Shenlang a reward for this information. Shenlang, sensing an opportunity, requested to stay at the Earl's estate and work there. His intention wasn't merely employment. He wanted to be close to Jean Mulan and win her over. But unexpectedly, after receiving reports from his subordinates, General Zhu Lin of the Zhu family, known as Pacify the South, is about to arrive. The Pacify the South general of the Zhu family, who is set to propose to Jean Mulan. The Zhu family's immense influence meant that the Baron's estate couldn't afford to offend them, making refusal of the proposal nearly impossible. Jean Mulan considered disfiguring herself to deter the Zhu family's proposal. Father Jean, however, seized the knife, determined to protect his daughter and the family's centuries-old legacy. He knew that disfiguring herself wouldn't solve the problem, as the Zhu family was more interested in their family's elite troops. The only viable solution now seemed to be arranging an immediate marriage for Jean Mulan to deter the Zhu family. Despite Father Jin's reluctance to sacrifice his daughter's happiness, Jean Mulan knelt down, insisting that her greatest happiness lay in securing the future of her family. After a long sigh, Father Jean agreed to hold a suitor selection and listed 5 candidates, instructing his staff to invite them to the estate for Jean Mulan to choose from. Shenlang, determined not to let his beloved fall into the arms of another, declared his intention to join the competition for the position of son-in-law. Approaching Jean Mulan, he professed his desire to marry her. This infuriated Father Jean, who saw Shenlang's participation as an absurdity. Surprisingly, Jean Mulan's interest was piqued when she asked Shenlang if he was Second Fool, a nickname he earned in his village, where he was part of a duo known as the Foolish Pair. Jean Mulan's view of Shenlang was akin to seeing a child, appreciating his innocence. She agreed to let him join the competition. Father Jean, though finding it ridiculous, let it pass, confident that Jean Mulan would not choose Shenlang. Shenlang, however, was brimming with confidence, ready to outshine the other contenders. 2 hours later, 6 men, including Shenlang, were brought into separate study rooms for Jean Mulan to interview and select her suitor. With limited time, Jean Mulan planned to make her decision by noon and marry by evening. The first candidate was Chief Clerk Wang Lian, thrilled at the prospect of winning Jean Mulan. When Jean Mulan asked him what future he could bring to the Earl's estate, Wang Lian confidently proclaimed his intention to pass the imperial examination and become a scholar. He believed that with his scholarly skills combined with Jean Mulan's martial prowess, they could lead the Earl's estate to greater prosperity. Jean Mulan didn't respond much to Wang Lian's answer and metaphorically handed him a nice guy card before leaving. She asked the same question to the other 4 candidates and received similar answers, none particularly striking. Finally, Jean Mulan approached Shenlang's room and posed the same question to him. What could he bring to their future together? What can he bring? Well, that's a lot. For example, he can use his X-ray eyes to treat Jean Mulan's hidden injuries, and he can also provide advanced iron refining techniques, among many other things. He knew these would interest Jean Mulan, but might not truly win her over. Then, he earnestly said he could offer her freedom in their relationship, with the only condition being loyalty. Jean Mulan, conservative by nature, was both embarrassed and angered by Shenlang's blunt reference to infidelity, chastising him for his lack of thoughtfulness. However, Shenlang's response was calculated. He had seen through Jean Mulan's desires for autonomy and a non-interfering partner. Returning to the hall, Jean Mulan announced to her parents that she had made her choice. After a moment of anticipation, she bashfully revealed she had chosen Shenlang. This decision infuriated Father Jean, who couldn't understand why she would pick a fool. Jean Mulan explained her reasoning calmly. She feared for the future of her family if her husband sought power after her father's passing, endangering her brother. Only with Shenlang could the family legacy be secure. Father Jean and Mother Jean understood Jean Mulan's well-intentioned decision, but they were still heartbroken. Knowing Shenlang's poor reputation, Jean Mulan remained indifferent, believing that her choice would also deter the Zhu family. She also admitted a liking for Shenlang's appearance, frustrated and feeling like a failed father for sacrificing his daughter's happiness. Father Jean inquired about the whereabouts of Jean Mulan's brother. Learning his location, Father Jean picked up a whip and left, followed by Mother Jean with another whip. In their eyes, it was their son's incompetence that had compromised Jean Mulan's happiness. Soon after, Jean Mulan's brother experienced a harsh lesson from his parents. Meanwhile, Shenlang learned that he had been chosen by Jean Mulan. His demeanor changed instantly, realizing he was about to become the son-in-law of mythical Turtle City's most prominent family. This newfound status emboldened him against the Su family and others who had wronged him, fueling thoughts of revenge. However, Shenlang urgently requested Jean's steward to quickly bring his family to safety, fearing they were in danger. The steward, recognizing Shenlang's new status as the Earl's son-in-law, immediately agreed to assist. On the other hand, at the Black Clothes Bang hideout outside mythical Turtle City, Tianheng ordered 13 to capture Shenlang's family, intending to kill them once Shenlang handed over the formula. Both the legitimate and underworld circles of mythical Turtle City were now in turmoil due to Shenlang, with some preparing to celebrate his marriage and others plotting against his family. When 13 arrived at Shenlang's home, he was taken aback to find Shenlang's family armed and prepared, showing no fear but a readiness to face death. 13, relishing the challenge, drew his sword to attack them. However, he suddenly sensed a threatening presence behind him. Turning around, he found Jean's steward from the Baron's estate, a figure whose presence sent shivers down his spine. Realizing Shenlang's connection to the Baron's estate, 13 knew better than to confront Jean's steward. The steward, followed by several warriors, escorted Shenlang's family to a palanquin for safety. After they left, 13 staggered, realizing the grave implications of Shenlang's ties with the Earl's estate. 13 rushed back to report to Tianheng at the Black Clothes Bang headquarters, interrupting Tianheng's indulgence. Despite fearing Tianheng's wrath, 13 relayed everything about Shenlang's family's rescue. Tianheng's face darkened upon hearing this. He immediately dismissed the woman with him and focused on the unfolding situation, realizing the potential danger they were now in due to their actions against Shenlang's family. Tianheng, stroking his chin, announced the news about the Count's mansion seeking a son-in-law. At this revelation, 13's expression changed dramatically. He thought of a possibility that even 13 himself did not believe. Tianheng, naturally, felt the same. How could a fool possibly become Jean Mulan's husband? Nonetheless, Tianheng decided to go into the city. Soon after, in the Lin family's secret chamber, Su, Lin, and Tianheng, 3 major figures of mythical Turtle City, gathered to discuss the likelihood of Shenlang becoming the son-in-law of the Count's mansion. They all deemed it unlikely. However, to get to the bottom of it, they decided to attend the wedding ceremony that night. Meanwhile, in the mythical Turtle Count's mansion, the entire place was festively decorated, with servants bustling around. Among the guests attending were Su Qianshan and others, all curious about who had won over the Count's aloof golden flower. At that moment, Shenlang was sitting in a bridal sedan, accompanied by the sound of firecrackers. The sedan was slowly lifted to the entrance, and the Count and his wife wife walked out slowly. With the announcement of the groom's arrival, the sedan was set down, the curtain was lifted, and the groom stepped out. This figure, however, made Tian Heng and others from the Su family catch their breath in surprise, and Su Chanshan widened her eyes in disbelief. She couldn't be mistaken. Why was Shenlang the groom? At this moment, Shenlang ignored them. His wedding was not to be disturbed by these people. As the auspicious time arrived, the wedding ceremony proceeded, bowing to heaven and earth, bowing to the high hall, and the couple bowing to each other. Just as the ceremony ended, and they were about to enter the bridal chamber, a loud laugh was heard. The newcomer is none other than the lord of the mythical Turtle City, Lu Wuyan, who wanted to see Shenlang's true face under the mask. Although tradition dictated that the son-in-law could only reveal his face in the bridal chamber, his curiosity wasn't hindered. Suddenly, another loud laugh, this one colder, was heard. A tall figure walked in slowly, but upon seeing him, everyone at the venue, including the Count's family and all the guests, bowed in respect. It turned out this person was Zhu Lin, the general of Yu Kingdom who pacified the south. He bluntly asked Shenlang to remove his mask. With the general's support, the crowd was no longer fearful and urged Shenlang to unveil himself. Shenlang looked towards Jin Mulan, who nodded. Shenlang, seeing this, lifted the mask from his face, revealing his true identity. The revelation shocked everyone present. In their wildest dreams, they never imagined the man under the mask would be the fool, Shenlang. At this moment, Tianheng in the crowd felt a chill run through his body. His trouble had just magnified. The most shocked of all were Su Chanshan and Zhang Ji. Jin Mulan was a person even he dared not aspire to. Zhang Ji, completely thrown off, burst into laughter. In a fit of foolishness, he directly questioned Jin Mulan, accusing her wedding of being a sham. Jin Mulan coldly asked him why he would say such a thing. Fearless now, Zhang Ji laid bare all of Shenlang's past glorious deeds, mainly painting Shenlang as a fool and recounting his previous slander and harassment of maids. He then challenged Jin Mulan again, asking how she could possibly fancy such a worthless person. Zhang Ji's cronies echoed his sentiments. However, some uninformed individuals asked Zhang Ji to provide evidence of Shenlang's supposed intellectual deficiency. At Zhang Ji's cue, a poor scholar who had passed the imperial examination for a lower degree stood up. He claimed to have studied with Shenlang and could testify that Shenlang was indeed a fool or mentally challenged. Shenlang recognized the scholar, Yan Xiong, and realized that it's always the familiar faces who betray you at crucial moments. Shenlang looked at Yan Xiong and calmly asked if he had evidence of his intellectual deficiency. Yan Xiong laughed loudly, claiming that not recognizing a single character after 10 years of study was evidence enough. He proposed to write a few characters for Shenlang to identify. If Shenlang recognized them, he would apologize. As Shenlang accepted the challenge, Yan Xiong had pen, ink, paper, and inkstone brought to him. He wrote a few characters on the paper. Jin Mulan, upon seeing them, couldn't help but open her mouth in surprise. The rest of the crowd was also baffled, because they couldn't recognize the characters either. Yan Xiong had written 3 characters that looked familiar, but were easy to misread if not looked at carefully, making the challenge extremely tricky. Yan Xiong, smugly triumphant, challenged Shenlang to read the characters, declaring that if Shenlang failed, he must admit to being mentally challenged. Faced with Yan Xiong's provocation, Shenlang activated his cheat, a mental search in his own brain's computer. He then effortlessly began to read and explain each character. Shenlang stated that the first character, which looks similar to goose, actually represents a type of plant, and he explained its origin. The second character, pronounced Su, was also explained by Shenlang. Before Yan Xiong could react with astonishment, Shenlang continued, detailing the multiple pronunciations of the third character, the first being Shu, meaning vertical, the second, Yi, indicating through and through, the third, Tue, meaning to retreat, and the fourth, Yi. As Shenlang elaborated, Yan Xiong was dumbstruck, barely able to stand. He had only known 2 pronunciations for the third character. Disappointed, Shenlang shook his head, criticizing Yan Xiong's audacity to test him without full knowledge. Shenlang then turned to Yan Xiong's teacher, the former lord of mythical Turtle City, and asked if his readings were correct. After a moment of silence and a nod of agreement from the old lord, the crowd erupted in astonishment. But Shenlang wasn't done yet. Known for his retribution, he decided to write a few characters for Yan Xiong to identify. Despite feeling panicked inside, Yan Xiong outwardly agreed with false bravado. Shenlang's writing captivated the audience. Each stroke was recognizable, but the combined characters were indecipherable to them. Shenlang stated that Yan Xiong only needed to recognize 4 characters. Yan Xiong, spotting a few familiar characters, blurted out, "I am a fool." This inadvertent confession caused an uproar of laughter among the crowd. Even Jin Mulan couldn't help but laugh behind her hand. Yan Xiong's teacher's face turned extremely ugly, and he hastily dismissed Yan Xiong, embarrassed by the disgrace. Seeing Shenlang's proficiency with obscure characters, Yan Xiong's teacher, wanting to save face, challenged Shenlang with a character he wanted him to identify. Shenlang, realizing that all the lords of mythical Turtle City were at odds with the Count's mansion, still agreed to the challenge. The old lord then wrote a character on paper, attracting the attention of Jin Mulan and the crowd. However, nobody recognized the character he wrote. Shen Lang, on the other hand, was familiar with the character, which is well known in modern times. Yen Xiong, seeing his mentor stepping up for him, started taunting Shen Lang again, but Shen Lang ignored him. In modern times, the character is pronounced Yuan, but Shen Lang knew that its ancient pronunciation might differ. When he learned that the old lord knew the meaning but not the pronunciation, Shen Lang realized he had the freedom to interpret it as he wished. Yen Xiong, still skeptical, jumped in again. Shen Lang proposed a bet to Yen Xiong. If Shen Lang recognized the character and knew its meaning, then Yen Xiong would slap himself, otherwise, Shen Lang would do the same. Confidently, Yen Xiong agreed. Shen Lang then pointed at the character and pronounced it Ren. Yen Xiong angrily contested, questioning how anyone could verify that pronunciation. Shen Lang explained that the character likely shared a meaning with stab or pierce. This explanation instantly changed the old lord's expression. Yen Xiong sought confirmation from his teacher, hoping Shen Lang was making it up. The old lord was tempted to deny Shen Lang's answer, but he hesitated, considering his reputation and the possibility of future research corroborating Shen Lang's interpretation. Reluctantly, he changed his demeanor and admitted that Shen Lang was correct, leaving Yen Xiong utterly dumbfounded and shocking everyone present. Shen Lang's knowledge had impressed them all, including Jean Mulan, who looked at him with admiration. Shen Lang's gaze turned to Yen Xiong, clearly indicating it was time to fulfill his promise. With a resentful look towards his teacher, who turned away, Yen Xiong bitterly slapped himself, satisfying Shen Lang immensely. Humiliated, Yen Xiong left in anger. Jin's father, for the first time, showed some satisfaction towards Shen Lang and informed him that it was time to introduce Jean Mulan to his own parents. However, just then, the great general, Zhu Lin, called for Shen Lang to wait. As Shen Lang turned towards him, Zhu Lin pointed at Shen Lang and remarked, "Kid, you are quite interesting. I'll remember you." This statement from Zhu Lin, although not explicitly a threat, carried an implicit intimidating tone. Shen Lang, feigning misunderstanding, bowed and politely expressed his gratitude. "Thank you for your high regard, General Zhu." Zhu Lin laughed heartily at Shen Lang's response. Meanwhile, Shen Lang's parents, feeling inferior due to their humble origins, and not wanting to bring shame upon Shen Lang, had chosen not to attend. They also hesitated to wear the fine robes sent by the Count's mansion, fearing they might damage them. Upon Shen Lang's arrival at the back hall, he immediately knelt before his parents, expressing his filial respect. "Your son pays his respects, father and mother. I have been unfilial." Jean Mulan, following suit, also knelt down and said, "Your daughter-in-law pays her respects to you both." Shen Lang was pleasantly surprised by Jean Mulan's gesture and felt even more admiration for her. She exuded beauty both inside and out and showed no reluctance towards his parents. Shen's mother quickly helped Jean Mulan to her feet. After Jean Mulan had paid her respects with a toast, she left Shen Lang in private with his parents. After dinner, Shen Lang's parents, not wanting to impose, left for home in their carriage. In the bridal chamber, Jean Mulan, with a flushed face, slowly entered. Shen Lang was mesmerized by her beauty, while Jean Mulan was too shy to look directly at him. As she sat on the bed, both were hesitant about who should make the first move. Shen Lang, as a man, thought of guiding Jean Mulan, but she indicated that she had something to say first. Jean Mulan revealed that she had been forced into this marriage by the Zhu family and had no choice but to find a husband. However, already being a married woman, she vowed not to remarry. As for the duties of a wife, like bearing children, Jean Mulan was unable to fulfill them. Shen Lang understood that consummating their marriage on the first day, especially for someone of Jean Mulan's stature, was unrealistic. Shen Lang signaled his understanding and respect for her feelings. Jean Mulan, not wanting Shen Lang to feel aggrieved and knowing the importance of producing an heir, called for her personal maid. Shen Lang quickly noticed the maid's attractive figure, marked by her 36F size. Jean Mulan instructed her maid to take good care of Shen Lang for the night. Although Shen Lang inwardly wanted to refuse, Jean Mulan shook her head, explaining that since she couldn't bear children for him, it was best for Shen Lang to fulfill this duty with her maid, ensuring a swift continuation of his lineage. Shen Lang, accepting the situation, asked the maid, Little Bing, to help him undress. Jean Mulan, upon hearing this, was stunned and quickly left the room. Little Bing's face turned red with embarrassment and shyness, but soon, tears uncontrollably began to fall from her eyes, eventually turning into a flood of weeping. Shen Lang realized something was amiss and asked her if she was unwilling. Little Bing didn't speak, but her tears grew more intense, soaking her clothes. Shen Lang felt awkward, realizing that even the maid seemed reluctant to be with him. Not wanting to force the situation, he told Little Bing to go sleep in the next room, after which she quickly left. Shen Lang, feeling somewhat exasperated, decided to simply go to sleep. The next day, Jean Mulan prepared a few gifts for Shen Lang to take home and told him he could share any goals or ambitions he had with her. Shen Lang initially said he had no particular goals, but seeing Jean Mulan's dissatisfaction, he quickly stated he had a major goal: to destroy the Su family and make Su Qianqian kneel before him, begging for mercy. Jean Mulan was somewhat helpless, realizing this was more about revenge than a goal. She pointed out the difficulty of targeting the Su and Zhang families, who were backed by the powerful Zhu family, and the limitations of the Count's mansion's power. power. Shenlang, undeterred, asked if he could target Tianheng, but Jean Mulan explained that Tianheng, being a military officer of mythical Turtle City and recently aligned with the Zhang family, was untouchable without provoking a conflict with the city's leadership. Shenlang, feeling frustrated by these constraints, decided to act on his own. He bid farewell to Jean Mulan, intending to confront Tianheng directly. However, before leaving, he visited his father-in-law to pay his respects. When asked about his future plans, Shenlang avoided mentioning revenge and instead expressed his intention to dutifully serve his parents. Jean Mulan's father and mother were pleased with this, perceiving Shenlang as a stable and responsible person, and they prepared gifts for him to take back home. Shenlang thanked them and left. Dressed in fine clothes and escorted by 2 soldiers, he initially intended to travel by carriage. However, seeing a majestic white horse, he was tempted to ride it to make a grand entrance, but just 2 minutes later, it became apparent that Shenlang didn't even know how to mount the horse, so he resignedly settled for the carriage. Upon arriving at Black Clothes Bang, Shenlang's carriage boldly entered the territory. The guards of Black Clothes Bang, ready to shoot arrows to intercept the intrusion, were hastily stopped by someone who scolded them for nearly attacking a carriage from the Count's mansion. As Shenlang stepped out of the carriage, he greeted Tianheng with a smile, saying, "Long time no see." Tianheng, despite his welcoming arms and smiling face, harbored deep resentment towards Shenlang. Shenlang taunted Tianheng about not arresting him, to which Tianheng, suppressing his anger, politely invited Shenlang inside and personally made tea for him. Tianheng asked Shenlang the purpose of his visit, and Shenlang casually mentioned returning 1,000 gold coins. Tianheng laughed, produced a written debt acknowledgement from Shenlang, and burned it in the fire, claiming he had forgotten about any such debt. Shenlang, with a mischievous look, retorted that it was Tianheng who owed him 1,000 gold coins, and questioned why he burned the acknowledgement. Tianheng was stunned by Shenlang's audacity, having never encountered someone so shamelessly bold in his years of experience. Under the circumstances, Tianheng had to play along, putting on a smile and ordering the 1,000 gold coins to be brought to Shenlang. After briefly examining the coins, Shenlang ambiguously suggested that since they were acquaintances, the interest on the debt could be waived. Tianheng, understanding Shenlang's implication, grudgingly produced an additional 100 gold coins as interest. Shenlang casually sipped his tea, appearing as if the suggestion hadn't come from him. Seeing Shenlang's indifferent attitude, Tianheng asked if there was anything else he needed. Shenlang then inquired about 13's whereabouts, revealing his simple but intense motive. Since 13 had attempted to capture his parents, Shenlang intended to break 13's legs as retribution. Tianheng was visibly shocked and angered by Shenlang's audacity, but he managed to suppress his fury, stating through gritted teeth 13 was not present and would be away for 2 months. Shenlang, not fully trusting Tianheng's words, but deciding not to search for 13, left. As soon as Shenlang departed, Tianheng could no longer contain his rage. He smashed the teacups on the table and ordered his men to burn the chair Shenlang had used. 13 then emerged, trying to calm his foster father by suggesting that Shenlang's arrogant behavior would surely lead to punishment by the Count of Mythical Turtle. Tianheng was furious at how quickly Shenlang had transformed from a nobody to a haughty figure and instructed 13 to stay out of sight until the situation calmed down. However, to their astonishment, Shenlang suddenly returned, confronting 13 directly and warning him not to think of hiding. Shenlang argued that breaking 13's legs was a justified punishment for nearly causing the ruin of his family. He then turned his gaze to Tianheng, clearly indicating that it was time for him to take action. Tianheng, his eyes red with anger, was in a dilemma. 13 was his foster son, and physically harming him would be akin to disgracing himself. Tianheng, who had invested 2/10 of his family's wealth in aligning with the Zhang family, was at his limit of tolerance. In a burst of anger, he smashed his fist onto the solid mahogany table, shattering it into pieces. At this violent gesture, the 2 soldiers from the Count's mansion drew their swords to protect Shenlang. Tianheng roared at Shenlang, accusing him of going too far. Shenlang, unfazed, retorted about the time when his family was threatened, questioning if Tianheng had considered his actions excessive then. Tianheng, with a hollow laugh, cited the Count's mansion's principle of loving the people like one's own children and warned Shenlang against his tyranny and the possibility of being condemned by his own righteousness. Shenlang, not interested in prolonging the conversation and seeing that Tianheng wasn't going to act, looked towards the soldiers. However, they were only responsible for his protection and not meant to intervene in such conflicts. Tianheng, with a cold laugh, advised Shenlang to be forgiving and not to hold grudges, understanding that he was unprepared to force Tianheng's hand at the moment. Shenlang vowed that the next day he would make Tianheng break 13's legs and apologize to him in person. After leaving Tianheng's place, Shenlang returned home and distributed the gifts from Jean Mulan's parents to his own family, giving his father some gold coins to build a new house. He promised his brother, once recovered from his injury, a better future and opportunity to prove himself. His brother, excited by the prospect, expressed his desire to marry Lu Widow. After spending time with his family and bidding a formal farewell to his parents, Shenlang prepared to return to the Count's mansion mansion. However, just as he was about to leave, his mother urged him to check on Big Fool, whose situation seemed dire. Big Fool, Shenlang's only friend from the past, was a kind-hearted, simple, and honest person with limited intelligence. He had always protected Shenlang with his own body whenever Shenlang was bullied as a child. Despite his mental challenges, Big Fool's strong build made him useful for labor, which was the only reason he hadn't been driven out of his home by his stepmother, who mistreated him. Concerned, Shenlang decided to visit Big Fool to understand and possibly help with his troubling situation. Arriving at Big Fool's house, Shenlang found only Big Fool's stepmother and younger brother. The stepmother said Big Fool was out working, which puzzled Shenlang since his mother had told him Big Fool was in trouble. Preparing to look for Big Fool, Shenlang handed a bag of silver coins to the stepmother for Big Fool's meals, to which she greedily agreed, promising Big Fool would be well fed. However, Big Fool's brother sneered, hinting that Big Fool might not get to eat. Alarmed by this comment, Shenlang hurriedly left the house. Soon, Shenlang found Big Fool in a critical state, covered in blood, emaciated, and with severe chest injuries. Upon checking, he found Big Fool still alive. Big Fool, regaining consciousness, expressed his happiness to see Shenlang. Big Fool's condition was due to his younger brother's mischief, which led to an encounter with a tiger. Big Fool had suffered broken bones while saving him, and their father, unable to afford treatment, left Big Fool to fend for himself. Furious upon hearing this, Shenlang was appalled by the brothers' continuous mistreatment of Big Fool, who had always protected him despite such cruelty. Learning that Big Fool had been left in this state for over 6 days without food or water, Shenlang was deeply moved when Big Fool, with his dying breath, expressed relief that Shenlang had become strong and no longer needed his protection. Trying to instill hope in Big Fool, Shenlang said he still faced bullying, prompting Big Fool to reflexively protect him, showing his unwavering loyalty. After reassuring Big Fool that he was safe, Big Fool weakened again. Shenlang, filled with determination, vowed to make Big Fool's father regret his neglect and see Big Fool's worth. Big Fool nodded and thought, he's still useful. His father is getting old and needs him to provide for his old age. Shenlang, speechless at the situation, instructed his guards to carry Big Fool to the carriage. Fueled by indignation, Shenlang first returned to Big Fool's home, confronting his stepmother and brother with a cold demeanor, questioning their conscience. The stepmother, indifferent, argued about the lack of money for treatment, while Big Fool's brother callously remarked that it didn't matter if a fool like Big Fool died. Shenlang, without uttering a word, flipped their table in anger. He kicked his brother over with a foot, causing him to roll on the ground in agony, demonstrating how insignificant their pain was compared to Big Fool's suffering. The stepmother, enraged, questioned Shenlang's audacity and insulted him, calling him a worthless son-in-law of the Su family, fit only to die alongside Big Fool. Pushing her away, Shenlang made it clear he wouldn't harm a woman. The stepmother fell, hitting a water basin. Despite her threats, Shenlang calmly told her he was no longer associated with the Su family and dared her to complain to the Count's mansion if she had the courage. Leaving the house with his guards, Shenlang hurriedly returned to the Count's mansion. Upon arrival, he was stopped by Jin Cheng, the chief of the internal guards at the Count's mansion and a former candidate for son-in-law like Shenlang. When Jin Cheng saw Big Fool in a critical state, he angrily questioned Shenlang's authority to bring a stranger into the mansion and ordered Big Fool to be thrown out. Shenlang fiercely objected and insisted on bringing Big Fool in for treatment. The guards hesitated, unsure whom to obey. Shenlang's expression darkened as Jin Cheng continued to assert his authority and ordered Big Fool's removal. Realizing his limited influence within the Count's mansion, Shenlang sighed, acknowledging his solitary position. He then decided to take Big Fool to the city for treatment himself. Climbing onto the carriage, Jin Cheng, smugly satisfied, watched Shenlang leave, his envy over Shenlang's marriage to Jean Mulan evident. As Shenlang prepared to leave with Big Fool, Count Jean and Jean Mulan came out to inquire about the commotion. Jin Cheng reported the situation, and upon hearing Shenlang's explanation about his friend's critical condition, Count Jean immediately ordered a doctor to attend to Big Fool, prioritizing his life-saving treatment. Jean Mulan, taking personal control of the carriage, apologized to Shenlang for the inconvenience he suffered, showing her support. Shenlang felt genuinely touched by her gesture, realizing he was not alone in the Count's mansion. Despite Jin Cheng's attempt to intervene, fueled by jealousy, Jean Mulan, with a cold face and without a word, took out a whip. In a cold voice, she ordered Jin Cheng to turn his back. Jin Cheng wanted to say something, but after seeing Jean Mulan's expression, he turned around on his own accord. Seeing this, Jean Mulan whipped fiercely, tearing open Jin Cheng's leather armor and leaving a bloody mark. She warned Jin Cheng that Shenlang was her husband, Jean Mulan's, and thus his master. He should correct his attitude in the future. Jin Cheng bowed respectfully, indicating that he understood. After the doctor, renowned for his expertise, tended to Big Fool, it was clear that Big Fool's life was no longer in danger. Jean Mulan expressed her happiness to Shenlang, playfully addressing Big Fool as his big brother. Shenlang, slightly embarrassed, tried to clarify. Jean Mulan smiled and retorted, "Aren't the titles Big Fool and 30-second fool just ways of referring to brothers? Shenlang felt helpless inside and thought, "You're 36E. Whatever you say is right." However, the moment was interrupted when Count Jean summoned Shenlang to his study. Expecting a discussion about Big Fool, Shenlang was prepared to defend his actions, emphasizing the importance of his friendship with Big Fool. To his surprise, Count Jean was furious about Shenlang's earlier actions involving Tianheng, accusing him of abusing his position and extorting gold coins, as well as his intent to harm Tianheng's foster son. Shenlang responded by expressing gratitude to Count Jean for saving his family's lives. Confusing Count Jean, Shenlang explained the entire situation to Father Jean, who became furiously indignant upon hearing the details. He vowed to seek justice for Shenlang, affirming that no one could bully his son-in-law. Father Jean also revealed that the complaint against Shenlang was initiated by Zhang Ji. Despite Father Jin's offer to handle the situation with Tianheng, Shenlang insisted on dealing with it personally, stating that not showing up would not only damage his reputation, but also that of the Count's mansion. He assured Father Jean that he would handle the matter without leaving any room for criticism. Father Jean, testing Shenlang's commitment, presented him with the hefty Jean family code. He proposed that Shenlang could leave to confront Tianheng only after memorizing the entire book. Knowing the book contained about 50 to 60,000 words over several hundred pages, Shenlang confidently accepted the challenge, relying on his mental computer to memorize it quickly. Meanwhile, Father Jean and Mother Jean discussed Shenlang's task. Father Jean believed it would take Shenlang a couple of months to memorize the book, viewing it as a good opportunity for him to calm down and reflect. However, Mother Jean wagered that Shenlang would complete the task in just a month. In a playful bet, she cheekily proposed that if she won, in the future, when making love, she requested to be on top. Father Jean, slightly embarrassed but amused, agreed. That night, Mother Jean, concerned about Shenlang staying up late to study, prepared a nourishing walnut and lotus seed soup for him, only to find out that he had already gone to sleep. Frustrated, she lamented that Shenlang was even lazier than her own son. Early the next morning, Father Jean approached Shenlang, seemingly ready to reprimand him. Shenlang, aware of the reason, indicated that he had indeed memorized the entire family code overnight. Father Jean, skeptical of such a feat, prepared to have Shenlang punished according to family discipline for his perceived deceit. Mother Jean intervened, urging Shenlang to apologize and calm the situation. However, Shenlang stood firm, asserting his claim and inviting Father Jean to test him. Father Jean, fueled by frustration, began to quiz Shenlang on various chapters of the family code. To everyone's astonishment, Shenlang recited each section flawlessly. Father Jean was left utterly stunned and impressed by Shenlang's extraordinary memory and intellect, which he displayed by accurately recalling the family teachings. As Mother Jean joyfully reminded Father Jean of their wager, he resignedly accepted the outcome. Before leaving Shenlang alone with Father Jean, she mischievously took the whip with her, intending to teach her son a lesson, highlighting the difference in diligence between him and Shenlang. Father Jean, intrigued, asked Shenlang how he achieved such a remarkable feat. Shenlang casually mentioned that since recovering from a serious illness, his mind had become exceptionally sharp, allowing him to remember everything he read. Father Jean believed him, recalling a historical figure from their family who had a similar transformation, achieving great feats after a near-death experience. Acknowledging Shenlang's accomplishment, Father Jean lifted the confinement order. As Shenlang prepared to confront Tianheng, Father Jean advised him to let go of the matter, citing a new rule established by the Yu Kingdom that nobility should not interfere with official government positions. Over the past 3 years, 3 noble families had been stripped of their lands and titles, illustrating the serious consequences of breaching the Yu Kingdom's new rules. However, Shenlang refused Father Jin's offer to seek justice on his behalf within half a year. He insisted on personally avenging his grievances, believing that handling his own battles was a prerequisite to being worthy of Jean Mulan. Father Jean appreciated Shenlang's resolve, but cautioned him about the difficulties of confronting Tianheng, who had the backing of both the city lord's office and the Zhang family. Undeterred, Shenlang assured Father Jean that he would take revenge within the bounds of the law, ensuring not to leave any loopholes that could be exploited against him. Shenlang's plan was to target Tianheng's gambling houses, which held a monopoly in mythical Turtle City. His strategy was simple yet aggressive, to keep winning gold coins until it exceeded Tianheng's limits and the tolerance of his backers. This would not only hurt Tianheng financially, but also potentially destabilize his standing with his supporters. Upon arriving at one of Tianheng's gambling houses, Shenlang was greeted by Tian-19, the manager, who was initially surprised, but soon overjoyed, believing Shenlang's visit would spell disaster for him. Tian-19's elation only grew when Shenlang, without any gold coins, requested a loan to gamble. Shenlang started by borrowing 1,000 gold coins, converting them into chips. He opted for a simple dice game, betting on the roll being either low, below 9 points, or high, 9 points or above. Shenlang confidently placed all his chips on high for his first bet, drawing excitement from the crowd and the beautiful dealer. When the dice revealed 13 points, Shenlang Lang won, doubling his chips to 2,000. To Tian-19, Shen Lang's initial win seemed inconsequential, perhaps even a bait to lure him deeper into the game. However, Shen Lang, unhesitatingly betting all his winnings again on high, continued his winning streak. As the dealer revealed the dice, Shen Lang's prediction proved correct once more, earning him a total of 4,000 gold coins. Unbeknownst to Tian-19, this was just the beginning of Shen Lang's calculated assault on Tian-Heng's financial stronghold. Tian-19 was dumbfounded by Shen Lang's unconventional and bold strategy of betting all in on every round. Realizing the gravity of the situation, he stepped in to personally handle the dice, confident in his skill to manipulate the outcome. Tian-19, a master of dice manipulation and a trusted confidant of Tian-Heng, could control the dice to roll high or low as desired, and even change the numbers after the dice had landed. However, Shen Lang, with his exceptional ability to see through such tricks, grew tired of the dice game. He proposed playing Pai Gao, a card game similar to dice in terms of betting on high or low outcomes, but with numerous opportunities for cheating, such as marking cards. Tian-19, initially pleased with the change, believed this would be his chance to defeat Shen Lang. However, Shen Lang insisted on using a new deck of cards, threatening to leave if his request was not met. Reluctantly, Tian-19 had to comply and fetch a new deck, confident in his abilities regardless. Once the new deck was inspected by Shen Lang and found to be unmarked, the game began. Using his extraordinary perception, Shen Lang effortlessly identified Tian-19's cards. Tian-19 drew a strong hand, but Shen Lang, undeterred and without even glancing at his cards, confidently bet 1,000 gold coins, displaying a gambler's bravado that left the onlookers in awe. Tian-19, not willing to be outdone, matched Shen Lang's bet. However, when the cards were revealed, it was Shen Lang who won. The shock on Tian-19's face was evident. This was just the beginning of an unprecedented nightmare for him. Round after round, Shen Lang continued his strategy of not looking at his cards and betting 1,000 gold coins each time, winning continuously. The crowd around the gambling house erupted in cheers, hailing Shen Lang as the god of gamblers. Tian-19, on the other hand, was completely flustered, having lost a staggering 13,000 gold coins to Shen Lang. This loss left him trembling and sweating, bewildered by the turn of events. Knowing the consequences he would face from Tian-Heng, Tian-19 excused himself from Shen Lang, citing dizziness. Meanwhile, at the Su family mansion, Tian-Heng and the Su family head were gleefully anticipating Shen Lang's downfall, expecting him to accumulate massive debts at the gambling house. However, their mirth was short-lived. A panicked Tian-19 rushed in, his entrance immediately changing the atmosphere. Tian-Heng, irritated by Tian-19's demeanor, scolded him harshly. Expecting to hear about Shen Lang's defeat, Tian-Heng demanded to know how much Shen Lang had lost, believing that a debt of 10,000 gold coins would be beyond the Count's mansion's tolerance and lead to Shen Lang's expulsion or worse. Tian-19, overwhelmed by fear, stammered out the truth. Instead of losing, Shen Lang had won 16,000 gold coins. This revelation stunned Tian-Heng, whose laughter froze on his face. In disbelief, he questioned Tian-19 again, only to receive the same answer. The room fell into silence as the reality sank in. Grabbing Tian-19 by the collar, an incredulous Tian-Heng demanded an explanation for how Shen Lang managed to win such a significant sum, equivalent to Tian-Heng's annual income. Tian-Heng desperately sought to understand how Shen Lang had achieved this feat, wondering whether he had cheated or employed some underhanded tactics. Tian-19, crying, said there was none. Tian-Heng threw Tian-19 aside, then turned to ask the Su family head, "Wasn't it said that Shen Lang is a useless good-for-nothing? How come he's so powerful now?" The questioned Su family head also felt somewhat overwhelmed. He didn't know what was going on. At this moment, Su Chanshan stepped forward, suggesting that getting angry now was pointless, and it would be better to go to the scene and see for themselves. Upon hearing this, Tian-Heng immediately stood up and left. Su Chanshan, watching Tian-Heng, reminded him not to forget the city lord's mansion and the prefect's mansion were his support. Tian-Heng nodded slightly upon hearing this, then hurried non-stop towards the Fortune Casino.